In today's episode of Fuck Yeah Industrial, we're getting into the drums of the song Slave off the album Darkness Rise. Let's get into it. I do just want to preface this before we get into this video, this demonstration of the drums of Slave for the album Darkness Rise. I am not using screen capture software. What I am using is a video camera that is on the screen, as you can see here. So that's just the way it's rolling with us. So I'm gonna play a little bit of the song, and you'll hear a bit of it, and then I'll get into the drums and that whole thing. So you're a fucking slave, addicted to your faces, your data, your political spaces. The algorithm is a weapon used to manipulate political elections, psychographic data collected to predict our mental status. You're a fucking slave, slave. You're a fucking slave, slave. I'm gonna disconnect. Fuck the virtual space. I'm gonna disconnect. Fuck the net. So as you can hear there's some drums going on. There is a hi-hat section that I hadn't actually let you listen to, but I will get into that. So this is all about the drums. First we're going to get into the kick. I'll show you what I did with the kick as far as effects. This album I used a lot of samples. I did not synthesize my drum kits. They were all samples that I've had in my sample collection. Yeah, there's just shit that I've grabbed over the years that I felt fit the song, and I'll show you how I affected the samples. So let's get into the kick. Let's see here. This is what the kick sounds like. So that's the kick, and it's all I did to it really was let's just pull this up. As you can see in the effects bus here, there's a parametric EQ. I boosted the not quite the sub, but the lower end a little bit. If you can see that on the camera, not sure you can see that, but I boosted in the 136 Hertz range as well as the 294 Hertz range, and I also boosted a little bit in the higher end in the 2900 Hertz range. The reason why I boosted in the higher end is because I find if you boost the low ends a little too much, it takes some of that higher end definition out, and I like having that definition, or at least on this album I liked having the definition there, so it kind of sticks out and it kind of sounds like there's a bit of a slap or something there, as if a drum pedal was hitting a bass drum or something like that. It just adds that a little bit of the character to the sound. I also want to preface here, I am not a professional. I don't claim to be a professional. I have been doing music for 20 years, and actually, quite honestly, this EQing stuff, like using parametric EQs and stuff, it is a fairly new thing for me. I haven't been with my first what was it, 4 albums, I hadn't really utilized EQ all that much. I pretty much found samples that I wanted and just kind of stuck everything together, and then you know, kind of adjusted the levels, and that was kind of it. But after when I started writing the album, and if you're not familiar with that album, it's I think our 4th or 5th album maybe. I started getting into EQs and stuff because I was starting to actually use this digital audio workstation, FL Studio Producer Edition 9, and that was kind of when I started really getting into EQ and trying to understand it, so I can kind of tweak the sounds to where I want them and take out certain frequency ranges that I thought were just making the sound too noisy or just like muddy or whatever, and I'm just trying to clean up some of that mud and stuff. So yeah, so anyway, this kick, this is what I did to it. Let's listen to let's take this off, and so you can hear what the original kick sounded like. So maybe not as punchy, it doesn't have, I don't know if I don't know the term, but it doesn't sound colored to me. Like, it doesn't sound like full enough. It's kind of dull actually. So obviously when I turn the EQ back on, it sounds a little bit more, you know, robust, and gives it a little bit of life and stuff. So okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into the snare. I think for this song I used primarily kick, snare, and hi-hat, and that was just kind of the drums for this song. So let's get into the snare. I don't think I used any like any reverb or any kind of any of that on these drum tracks. I kind of set them and just kind of went with what they sounded like in the that room vibe or whatever you want to call it. I didn't change up any of that kind of sound because I thought they sounded good the way they were. So the snare, let's see here, let's just close this. Okay, let's listen to the snare. This is what it sounds like with the I basically, oops, wrong fucking thing. Let's go back. What the fuck? Oh, that's why. Yeah. Okay. So with the snare, I once again I used a parametric EQ. There's no other effects on this. It's just an EQ. This is what it sounds like. And I'll take it off. So there really isn't much change here. I basically cut out the low end and boosted a couple of frequencies. It you know, nothing too extravagant. Just something to give it a little bit more high end and cut out all the low end. That's pretty much all it is. Just to give it some character and a little bit of a snappy feel to it. Maybe a little bit more white noise-ish and shit like that. So okay, let's see here. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll show you the hi-hat. I didn't do anything to it as far as EQing or any effects or anything, but I'll show it to you anyway. Once again, I did use samples for this stuff, just stuff that I had in my sample catalog that I thought just fit the song, that I thought sounded good and relatively good, and then I went in and tweaked things a little bit further. But here's the hi-hat. I don't know if you can hear that. Let's turn this up a little bit. So it's the sample. It actually sounds a little synthesized. It's probably a sample from a drum machine of some sort. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, that's it for the drums. Nothing too extravagant, you know. Just I found stuff that worked. Your political spaces. You know, I found stuff that worked, and that's kind of how it rolled. I think it's really important as a musician, you know, to challenge yourself and kind of get out of those old head spaces. The last album, Data Bomb, you know, there's a lot of deliberation over certain elements, and it took a while to put together. I think it was 3 years to put the whole thing together, and you know, yes, it sounds a little bit more polished and all that kind of stuff, but I needed to get out of that headspace, and I wanted to, you know, challenge myself and see what I could do with a shorter amount of time, and see, you know, kind of change things up and really, you know, just see what I could do with. And you know, when you have these time challenges, you're making decisions that you wouldn't normally make, because it's like you don't have all the time to deliberate on things. And honestly, it's probably one of my better albums, and it's good to get out of those old headspaces. It's good to kind of freshen things up and just kind of like, yeah, motherfucker, this is, you know, this is what we're doing. We're fucking doing this. And that's it for this episode of Fuck Yeah Industrial. I hope you folks are doing well. You know, if you are enjoying these videos, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or maybe if you want me to get into some songs, some other aspects of other songs that we've done. You know, let me know. Maybe we can get to those. Obviously, this current series of videos will be about the song Slave. I'm taking you through each element that most of the elements that I did, and yeah, that's kind of where this one's going, and I hope you folks are doing well. I hope you're staying safe. We will get through this, motherfuckers. You're a fucking slave, addicted to